Why are the people who are in charge, who told us all to do the right thing, have left us all to rot and left me and the thousands and the tens of thousands in this country to rot? Rishi Sunak, look me in the eye. When are you going to start to do the right thing?
Why should LGBT people vote Conservative?
Welcome back to Rattlesnake TV, guys. In this video, we are going to be watching British PM Rishi Sunak getting confronted at a town hall event about a topic that is extremely important that we need to be talking about. So with that, and at great risk, let's get into it.
News does not know the questions that are going to be asked tonight, and most importantly, neither does the Prime Minister.
Right.
Slightly worried by this. What on earth
Look
is
at
this?
fear in your eyes, Prime Minister. I just thought it might be...
not Conservative Party raffle.
I just thought, because we've got so much to get through, we're going to delve your hand in here. We've got some questions, more questions, and if you just... You can't read them first. Get your hand in.
Well, you know what, actually? So I'm very happy to do that. I don't know how much time we've got left. I am genuinely surprised we've not had any questions about the economy, the cost of living, right? So that I'm just genuinely puzzled by that.
All right, here we go.
So that would be the first time I've ever done one of these where that hasn't come up. I can't imagine all of you are really happy about the tax you're paying and don't want to complain. Well, I mean, there's no one got an economy, cost of living, tax question. Right, here we go. Okay. Now we got some people. Right.
Hi, Rishi Sunak. I've got so much to say, but such little time. My name is John Watt, and I'm one of the COVID vaccine injured in this country. I want you to look into my eyes, Rishi Sunak, and I want you to look at the pain, the trauma and the regret I have in my eyes. We have been left with no help at all. Not only am I in here that's vaccine injured, there's another man over there whose life's been ruined by that COVID-19 vaccine. I know people who have lost legs, amputations. I know people with heart conditions like myself, Rishi Sunak. Why have I had to set up a support group in Scotland to look after the people that have been affected by that COVID-19 vaccine? Why are the people who are in charge, who told us all to do the right thing, have left us all to rot and left me and the thousands and the tens of thousands in this country to rot? Rishi Sunak, look me in the eye. When are you going to start to do the right thing? The vaccine damage payment scheme is not fit for purpose. In Scotland right now, according to the yellow card system, there are over 30,000 people that have had an adverse reaction to that vaccine and 200 deaths.
John, thank you very much indeed for your question.
It's time for you to start doing the right thing, Mr. Rishi Sunak and the rest.
You've made a really strong point, John. Prime Minister.
Yeah, John, well, I'm very sorry to hear about your personal circumstances, and you said someone over here also seems to have suffered by a similar thing. Now, obviously, I don't know about the individual situation that you're in.
We're silenced.
Well,
on social media and everything. Okay. We are silenced. We are the most silenced people in this country.
Silence in the press because my story in the press had to go to the government for comment, and they made them take all the stuff out.
Forgive me both.
I know, I'm happy. No one.
Okay.
John, no one is saying. No one's saying you
yeah. Okay.
I've lost my house, my wife, and a successful career.
And sir, you raised some very valid points, I'm sure. What I've got to say is, though, we haven't got you on microphone, and as you know, we've got to get through this. I'm sure we can raise your points with the Prime Minister at a later date. But in the meantime, Prime Minister, if you cover the issue.
I'm very happy to. So look, there is a vaccine compensation scheme that's in place, as you alluded to, in the NHS. Obviously, everyone individually will work through their cases. It's difficult for me to comment on anyone's individual case. I'm sure you'll appreciate that. I'm very happy to go and look at the cases, and I'm sure you'll get them to the team here. I mean, I'm very saddened and shocked to hear that you've been silenced by anybody. That is surprising to me, so please do get your details to Stephen and the team, and I will happily take that away. Of course, you should be able to speak about your experience, what's happened to you, and as I said, we have a compensation scheme.
So definitely nothing to see here, guys. I mean, it was safe and effective because Rachel Maddow told us that it stops transmission. And all the celebrities were doing it and telling us that we should do it as well.
Imagine all the people living for today. Yeah. Imagine there's no countries, yeah.
Imagine no possessions.
And if the celebrities say it, then it's obviously true, right? Well, let's have a look at this study published in The Lancet, which is obviously a very prestigious science journal. This is a study about excess mortality in England post the COVID-19 pandemic. It says many countries, including UK, have continued to experience an apparent excess of deaths long after the peaks associated with the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020 and 2021. Number of deaths estimated in this period are considerable. The UK Office for National Statistics, or the ONS, has calculated that there were 7.2% or 44.255 thousand more deaths registered in the UK in 2022 based on comparisons with the 5-year average, excluding 2020. This persisted in 2023 with 8.6% or 28,000 more deaths registered in the first 6 months of the year than expected. Now, quickly jumping forward for a second, it says several causes, including cardiovascular diseases, show a relative excess greater than that seen in deaths from all causes at 9%. Over the same period, mid-2022 to mid-2023, namely, all cardiovascular diseases up 12%, heart failure 20%, ischemic heart disease 15%, liver disease 19%, acute respiratory infections 14%, and diabetes 13%. Seems to be concentrated in certain places. Now, on to the causes stated in the study. It says the causes of these excess deaths are likely to be multiple and could include the direct effects of the COVID-19 infection, acute pressures on NHS acute services resulting in poor outcomes from episodes of acute illness, and disruption to chronic disease detection and management. Now, those might account for some of them, but can you guys maybe think of something else that's happened over the last few years? Perhaps there's something else out there that's at least worth looking into. And you probably caught on to what I'm saying here and maybe wondering why the article doesn't suggest that particular thing. Well, they have to declare their interest, and you can see that JP-S is partner at Lane Creek and Peacock LLP, chair of the Royal Society for Public Health, and reports personal fees from Novo Nordisk and Pfizer Ltd outside of this submitted work. So make of that what you will. And now, guys, in terms of why their reasonings are incorrect, the long-term effects of the vid is not a viable option because the people who are dying are significantly younger than those that were dying of the vid. And that's borne out by this same study. And then also, the reason why it's not just a problem with the NHS is because this is a global phenomenon. And this is borne out by another study where 31 countries were analyzed, and it was revealed pretty much with certainty that there was a positive correlation between the jab uptake and excess deaths. And if you guys want to know more about this, I will link these studies below that you can check out yourself. And also, if you'd like it explained to you much better than my Neanderthal brain can explain to you, then Dr. John Campbell is a great source for this. I'll leave a few of his videos below. And it's absolutely necessary that we support people like Dr. John Campbell because, unfortunately, within the medical industry, there's been many occasions where doctors who have gone against the grain have lost their licenses. And the mainstream media will not touch this story with a 10-foot pole, even though this should be at the front page of every single newspaper. This should be at the top of the agenda of every single major mainstream news network. But they won't touch it. Why? But on to another one of this gentleman's points is that he's been silenced. And the fact that the politicians that he is so rightfully indignant at had a hand to play in pushing this pokey poke. People were coerced to do it. Yet Rishi Sunak has the audacity to gaslight this man and say, oh, wow, you're being censored, you're being silenced. I had no idea. I haven't heard of this. It's news to me. Oh, it's the first time you've heard of it, Rishi. First time you've heard of people being censored for going in on this particular topic. Okay, sure.
In Russia last year, 400 people were arrested for things that they said on social media. How many people do you think were arrested in Britain for things they said on social media last year?
Go on.
Take a guess.
I've no idea.
3,300.
Really? Arrested for what they'd said on social media?
Yeah.
It's 3 years on, and I still have to speak in riddles about this, otherwise I could get demonetized. The amount of gaslighting is absolutely jaw-dropping. And guys, we're only talking about excess deaths here. We're not even talking about injuries. That is a whole nother can of worms. And so with that, let's get into the next part, where Rishi is confronted by a man about how he's going to get the LGBTQ vote. And just for some context, before we get into this clip, he blew up Twitter a few weeks back for these also controversial comments.
And it also shouldn't be controversial for parents to know what their children are being taught in school about relationships. Patients should know when hospitals are talking about men or women. And we shouldn't get bullied. And we shouldn't get bullied into believing that people can be any sex they want to be. They can't. A man is a man and a woman is a woman. That's just common sense.
So just before we get into this last part, guys, make sure to chuck a like on the video if you haven't already, if you appreciate me taking on these very, very radioactive topics. And also, subscribe to the channel if you're getting value. Let's get into it.
Why should LGBT people vote Conservative?
This is a country whose values are reflected in our party and in government, and that is that it's a compassionate, tolerant place. And we want to make sure that people, whatever their background, right, are respected and treated with dignity. Right? That's the kind of country that I believe in. And it's not just about LGBT, it's about absolutely everything, right? Quite frankly. Like, this is a place which has always been welcoming, tolerant and inclusive. That's who we are as a country, and I think that's what we will be, and I'll always make sure that that's the case while I'm Prime Minister.
Forgive me slightly, but I think some of the issue may be less about the LGB and more about the T, Prime Minister. More about the trans issue.
Well, on that issue, look, my view on that is relatively straightforward. Look, first of all, right, for people who are going through that, particularly children, right, we have to be really sensitive about it. We should be understanding, we should be tolerant and compassionate, as I said, because that's who we are as a people, respecting everyone and their differences. But I also think on that issue that, particularly when it comes to questions around women's safety, women's health, that biological sex is important.
So interesting that he said that we should have compassion and understanding for the children going through this. But then when he mentioned safety, he only mentioned women. Don't you think you should be mentioning the safety of children when it comes to this matter as well? Anyways, I really don't think this was a very good day at the office for Rishi Sunak, and definitely this is not good for the Tories, who are, for those non-British people watching the video, the ostensibly conservative party in the United Kingdom. They're already in huge trouble. Just this week, they held 2 by-elections, and the results from the Wellingsborough and the Kingswood constituencies went well in favour of the Labour Party. Furthermore, the UK is officially in a recession, which is defined by a country's GDP falling 2 quarters in a row, which it did in the 3rd and the 4th quarter of 2023. The migrant crisis is completely out of control, and it looks at the moment as though the next election, which will probably be in the second half of 2024 or very early, like January 2025, is going to go the way of Labour. And nothing guarantees that shit is going to get a lot worse, quite like the left coming in and trying to fix the problem.
Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, folks. Come on. Don't worry about it. Come on, come on.
So with that, guys, don't forget to find me with those links below. You can also subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you'd like to watch another video, you can click right here. Till next time, I'm Jake. This is RattlesnakeTV, keeping you armed and dangerous.